chord am I playing right now, and is it giving me the results that I want? And if I'm not getting the results I want, I might need to consider playing a different chord.
It's Wednesday, and the window is open. In this extended conversation, Mike Brenner and Dr. Karla discuss the rhythm of the workplace. Let's listen in.
Mentioned a little bit about the chords of leadership and how it ties together. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. So many years ago, I had this epiphany that was facilitated by a good friend and mentor who helped me see the connection between the world of music and the world of leadership and organizations and teams. And I guess maybe it was staring at me in the face the whole time, but I didn't see it. And as I said, being a professional musician for 40 plus years, that's a world I know really well. And so it occurred to me that this notion of playing chords, and I can play sour notes, right? All this musical language starts to come in. I can play like off-key chord on a piano, but I can also play an off-key chord at work by saying the wrong thing or not being emotionally intelligent, or there are all kind of ways that I can play harmonious chords at work, and I can play out of tune chords at work. So that was really the metaphor that intrigued me, and then everything kind of came from that. And so I say my company's called Right Chord Leadership, and I say we help leaders and teams at all levels find their groove, get in sync, and work in harmony. So the musical language is baked, right into the branding. But specifically music generally, and jazz more specifically, which is my background, jazz I found is the perfect analogy for the work, because jazz is a largely improvisational musical art form that requires collaboration and listening and sensitivity to making space for the other. And there's so many parallels between the world of jazz and the world of organizations that I just found exploring that to be very, very fruitful. And then I actually ended up writing a book last year called Strike the Right Chord, which has many musical examples and anecdotes and stories. And it's really about the CHORDS model, where each letter in the word chords is a note. So all leaders and teams, great leaders and teams, play those 6 notes: communication, H is for harmony, O is for ownership, R is for respect, D is for direction, and S is for support. And when you play all 6 notes, in my experience, you're going to experience a high degree of success. But with each note that you don't play, performance can be compromised. So that's really the underlying metaphor behind all the work that I do. And I get to bring my musical instruments to my programs and workshops and things like that. Even my little Irish tin whistle that I have here. So I'll just play a little, this is called the IMS jig.
Yay!
Thank you. So I say everyone should carry a little Irish tin whistle around with them, like I do, and then you can just pull it out and spread some joy.
And I'd like to expand on this, Mike, because I was watching a documentary the other day, and it's interesting. A documentary can be very boring, it can be very exciting, it can be whatever, but the role that music plays in it. So we were listening to this part, and they had this really dramatic music in the documentary to really bring people in and build the tensity. And it just makes me think about the connection with music and that documentary to coming into the workplace and how you choose to communicate and how you choose to present yourself as part of that communication, right? When we walk into a room, we can spread joy, we can spread stress and intensity, depending on how we appear and how we communicate. And so the music that you were just sharing, it just made me, and the story made me think about that.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Just as the music in a movie or a documentary either enhances the viewer's experience, or if the music is lousy, detracts from the viewer's experience. I call it the chords we play, but the music metaphorically that we play when we're at work makes a tremendous difference. And of course, emotion is viral. Sometimes you're in a great mood, but if you interact with somebody who's in a lousy mood, now you catch it, right? And now you're in a lousy mood, and then you pass it along to the next person. And so, yeah, I want my clients to be more aware, or I encourage them to be more aware of the chords they play from moment to moment, because it's the accumulation of all those little moments that make up a day. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect every moment of every day. That's
Right.
not the goal. But the goal is to, like, what chord am I playing right now, and is it giving me the results that I want? And if I'm not getting the results I want, I might need to consider playing a different chord. And that's all about self-awareness and recognizing how whatever chords or music you're playing is affecting those around you. So that's like a really big piece of the work that I do. And I even ask my clients, what chords are you playing? And if you're not getting the results you want, you might want to consider playing some different ones. And then we're off to the races talking about, the chords model.
Yeah, and even looking at teams and groups and building those together really comes to tie together the harmony, right? Or the rhythm that you're using.
All of that stuff. We talk about rhythm. Every team has a rhythm. Every organization has a rhythm. You can walk into a building and spend 5 minutes in the lobby and just get a sense for the rhythm of the place. And if people are laughing and chatting and there's a certain spring in their step, that's one rhythm. And if people are sort of dour and barely talking to each other, that's another kind of rhythm.